Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. First things first, if you are not subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. So today's video, I'm going to be showing y'all how to replace your BMW's fuel pump and fuel filter. And this tutorial will work on the E90, E92, E93, really a whole bunch of other models as well. Now the main reason you would need to replace the fuel pump on your car would basically be that your car is not starting, or you're noticing that the performance is starting to deteriorate. When you go to start your car in the morning, you're noticing that you have to throttle the gas and stuff like that. That's usually a pretty good indicator that your BMW's fuel pump is going out or bad. And for the fuel filter, you really want to do this every 80,000 miles, but you know, 99% of people don't do it. So anytime you replace your fuel pump, you definitely need to replace your fuel filter. So let's go ahead and get right into today's video. All right guys, the first thing we're gonna go ahead and do is get into the back seat of the vehicle, and we're gonna have the fuel filter on that side and the fuel pump over here on this side. So all we're gonna simply do is go ahead and lift this seat up, and all you really have to do is grab the seat and pull up. There's gonna be two clips, one on this side, one on that side, and you will have to use a good amount of force, but grab two hands under here and pull both sides up. Now we're simply gonna go ahead and just pull this out of the vehicle. And you may have to wiggle it out a little bit in the rear section over here. So simply just go ahead and do that where the seatbelt is. Sweet, now we're gonna go ahead and pull this all the way out of the vehicle. That way it frees up some space. And now we're gonna go ahead and do the same exact thing on the other side. And now with all this dirt back here, I really recommend at this point in time, you grab a vacuum and clean all this up, because why would you wanna keep all this dirt under here? Let's go ahead and pull this carpet back. And you can see that the fuel pump will be located right here. Now we will have four 10mm nuts all around, basically holding this fuel pump cap on. So let's go ahead and remove these four 10mm nuts. And now we can go ahead and pull this cap off of the fuel pump assembly. Now what we're gonna have to do is remove these two connectors right here. They're gonna be extremely dusty and extremely held on there. And so this connector will be covered up by this line. We're gonna have a blue little push tab right here that we're gonna go ahead and push in and pull that line off. And as y'all can see right here, you're gonna push in this blue tab with a flathead screwdriver all the way, and then don't just pull the line from here, don't break it. Grab this whole unit and kind of wiggle it off, and then move that to the side. And now we have access to this connector right here. We can simply just really go ahead and click the connectors and push it right out, just like that. Now from here, we're gonna have one last pretty large line connected to the fuel pump, and we're gonna have these two little push tabs. You're gonna have one on either side, and you're literally gonna press them here and here, and you'll feel them kind of go inwards, and you're gonna press them both at the same time and pull this line out. And now I highly recommend you get a flathead in on this one, because it's harder to get out, and then get your fingers in on that side, and from there you can really just pull this thing straight off, and it will be on there pretty tight. Just make sure you don't damage it. And now from here, our fuel pump's freed up. We're gonna grab that special tool and just get this collar off of it, and that way we can pull this whole pump out. What we also can do is get a flathead in on these grooves right here, and then use like a rubber mallet and just mallet the end of it and move this thing that way. So as you guys can see, we have this special tool. It actually came with the fuel filter that I purchased. I'll leave a link for that down below. But we basically just go ahead and put these little claws inside these rivets, and as you guys can see, they latch in, and we're gonna get a ratchet and basically just go ahead and loosen this off, and we can tighten it up the same exact way. So I kept these screws all hand tight for now, that way I could adjust these claws exactly how I want them. And now that everything fits, we're gonna go ahead and tighten these screws all the way down, and yeah, we'll go ahead and loosen off this collar. Sweet, so now that everything is on, we're gonna go ahead and loosen this collar off. And this thing will need a very generous amount of torque to remove. Just make sure you clear all these lines out of the way as you're loosening up so you don't crack anything. And once everything's all loosened up, you should be able to just hand back off this collar. And again, just make sure that this line is cleared and the line over here is cleared, because you really don't want to crack any of these and have to do even more maintenance. And this collar can be an absolute pain. The fuel pump's gonna wanna lift up, so you gotta push the fuel pump down and then bring the collar out from the back side. And once it's out from the back, keep pushing the fuel pump down, and you should be able to pop this thing straight out. Just remember, the fuel pump's gonna wanna keep rising up because there's no tension holding it down. So push the pump down, and then at the same exact time that you push it down, wiggle the collar up from the back side first, roll it forward, and then lift up, just like this. Now nothing's holding in our pump from the top side. We're gonna move our hoses to the side and lift up our fuel pump and start disconnecting everything hooked up to it. So now that we got our pump up, we're going to disconnect this huge fuel supply line here at the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this off, this little clip right here where my pointer finger is. Cool, so as you guys can see, we got this hose off. We pulled off the little clip right here. You just push in right here on this side with the flathead, same thing for the other side, and pull off this part that sits in the middle. My little clip did snap. You have to be extremely careful, get a flathead in on this side and on this side and pry both out. Because as you can see, one side snapped off, the other's still here. But we're gonna just buy another clip. Just be extremely careful with this. So now the black hoses down here, we can simply grab these black hoses, and it has these little V clamps, and you're just gonna slowly pull them off just like that. You can see where they connect to the little V's down there that you sit inside of, and you're literally just gonna pull this straight up off that connector. And now with this last cable attached, we're gonna push in this retaining tab and pull this little hose out. So there's a retaining tab right there on the left side. We're gonna go ahead and push it and pull this all the way out. Sweet, so we got our hose free. We literally just pushed in this retaining clip with a flathead screwdriver with our left hand, and then with our right hand pulled this up. So now everything is removed. So now we can actually grab the rest of this fuel pump and remove it out of the car. But for now, what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna get a box with a whole bunch of towels in it so we can transfer this pump over to the box and not drip fuel all over the interior of the car. Full of paper towels, and we really want to be careful not to drip any of this fuel down here or even on the cloth back here, because it will stick to the cloth. We're gonna go ahead and pull this out extremely carefully. And you really just want to work with this thing, kind of wiggle it, to be honest with you. Just wiggle it all around until you can clear it all out. You don't want anything to fall and snap down there, so you don't want this to catch right here. You want to wiggle it out very precisely. And now from here, we're gonna be extremely careful not to flip this over. There's actually a ton of fuel inside of here, as you can see. We're gonna bring this all out of the vehicle in one piece and just set it down. I'm not gonna sit here and try to pour it in because I know it is gonna spill everywhere. Sweet, and so we cropped ahead. Just like the fuel pump, we are gonna remove the 4 10mm nuts holding in the fuel filter. And now from here, we're gonna have one solo connector that we're gonna pull out. We're just gonna push in these two little side clips, and it should come straight out of the vehicle. Cool, and just like that, we pulled this out by holding in the little side clips, so we can move all of this off to the side so it doesn't get in the way. And then same exact thing that we did the fuel pump, do the fuel filter, line up our little tool to take off the collar, and once all the teeth are in the grooves, we're gonna turn this counterclockwise and yeah, get this collar removed. Sweet, and then now we're gonna go ahead and remove this fuel line. From here, we have this locking collar that we're gonna pull back. So you're gonna pull back the locking collar as you pull this line out, and now we can go ahead and see the line just came free. Don't just try to pull this out. You want to pull back the locking collar. And we already went ahead and loosened this off. And remember, we're gonna push the filter down because it's gonna wanna come up, and that's how we're gonna free up this locking ring. Bam. Just like that. So put that off to the side. Now basically we can pull this whole thing out, and these lines are gonna run all the way through, so just be careful not to get fuel all over the interior, and go ahead and get yourself a box such as that one with a whole bunch of cloth, and we're gonna put this in there that we don't drip fuel all over the interior of the car. And just like that, you can see we literally just grabbed it, wiggled it out, and then from here we grabbed the lines and just pulled everything out and made sure we kept track of the ends, that way we didn't fling fuel everywhere. So yeah, our fuel filter is fully out. See, it just popped up. And now we can simply go ahead and remove our O-rings, the fat green O-rings right here on the fuel filter and fuel pump, put new ones in, and then we'll reinstall everything exactly how we took it out. So bam, as you can see, we pulled off our old O-ring. Go ahead and throw it in the box. Do the same thing over here. Put that O-ring in there, and then go ahead and install new ones. So here you guys can see our new fuel filter. The old one's off here to the side. We went ahead and just walked through everything and made sure there's nothing I had to transfer over. But this is the new fuel filter, and actually did come with this fuel filter removal tool and pump removal tool and the O-rings and everything else. So actually it was a great value. I think it was like 60 bucks for the filter and the tool set and all the O-rings, and I'll go ahead and leave a link for that down below. But now we're gonna work our fuel filter in and trace all these lines through to the other side where the fuel pump is, and then we'll install the fuel pump. Sweet, and for the fuel filter, you're gonna grab the 3 hoses, and you're gonna feel like a passageway right over here along the middle. The hoses are not gonna go around or around the back, it's gonna go through this little hole. There's like a hole or a passageway. What you do is grab the hoses, and you'll feel around for them. You can actually reach your hand in and feel it. Once you find the passageway, feed it through, come to this side, grab them, pull them all the way through, and then once all 3 hoses are pulled through, you can actually seat this thing down and tighten this up. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that right now. We're gonna tighten this collar back on. And before we tighten this, you're gonna notice that this white piece here will fit in a groove on the actual base. And once it's in the groove, then it's at the correct angle, and we can go ahead and tighten this down. So you'll see, you feel around for it, and then bam. And now let's put the collar back on. Go ahead, tighten that on to about the same amount of force that we had it on before, so that's good to go. Now from here, we'll go ahead and punch in our fuel line, pull back on the locking collar, and snap this all the way in. Now we'll go ahead and replug our electrical connector, just like that, and it'll make a clicking noise once it goes in. It will take a good amount of force since this is a new filter. And now let's go ahead and connect everything to our fuel pump. Sweet, and the best way I found to do this, for sure, fit the assembly down and then take off the top piece and put it to the side, and then snap down this hose over here. That is the easiest because it's a push clip, snaps right on. That we can grab this filter and pick this whole unit up, because fitting these 2 hoses into their little grooves is impossible because you can't pick this assembly up. So it's best if you snap this in and just pick it up from here, and then you can move this whole thing around and get those little hoses into place. And from here, all we have to do is plug in that bigger hose from the bottom. And now what you want to go ahead and do is line this top part up, but the holes right here where my pointer finger is, line up these 2 huge poles with that. That way once you plug in this hose, you can just slide it all in and you don't have to fight around and pull and jerk and break anything. And now with one hand, I'm holding this hose right here, and I'm holding the fuel pump assembly down there with the white hose, and I'm doing that way I can make sure these poles line up with the holes. And now we can simply just slide this in and it all fit together at the very end. And then as y'all can see, we have this pole lined up with the holes down here, and we did that. We lined up this pole with the 2 holes before we fit this into place, because if you do it vice versa, you're not going to have enough slack to make this fit. So you have to get those to line up before you actually plug this in. Now that this is all plugged in, we can go ahead and put the clip in and push it all into position. So let's go ahead and put that clip right into here. And now that we fit everything in, we can go ahead and push this down, make sure our notch right here lines up. There's a white notch, and keep this all pushed down until we put the locking collar fully on. So let's go ahead and do that. Now remember guys, hold down the whole unit, slide in the back of the collar first on the pump, because that was the side that was hard to remove, and then come around to the front. Now that everything's torqued down, we're literally trying to grab all of our hoses and all that good stuff and go ahead and yeah, let's go ahead and plug it all up. So we'll start off with this bigger connection right here, made the clipping noise, everything's all connected. Cool, now we'll grab that smaller hose right here and do the same exact thing. Clipped into place, good to go. And now from here, obviously just how the cover comes down, this one's gonna be on our right over here, and these can only get plugged in one way because they're specific to each side. So bam, clipped into place. And same thing here, can only really be plugged in one way. Nope, not that way, so it's this way, like that. Clipped, everything's clipped into place and tight. Cool, so now that everything's all connected and put into the vehicle, I'm gonna go ahead and start the car up, because I don't want to go ahead and put all these covers on and do all that good stuff and then figure out something doesn't work. So we're gonna put the key into the ignition after we plug in the battery and make sure that all this works. So let's go ahead and just test it right now. We already plugged in the ignition. We're gonna make sure we prime the pump. So we're gonna click the start button and allow that fuel pump back there to suck in fuel, because we don't wanna run it dry. And now we're gonna do the same exact thing. Take the key out, put it in, start it up again. So now if you guys have a code scanner such as this Foxwell one, you can actually activate the fuel pump right here to go ahead and prime it up and get some fuel pumped in there, because you don't want to burn it out just by letting raw air in there. You can go ahead and hit activate. And I can actually hear it in the rear of the car right now. So now that everything's primed up, we're gonna go ahead and start the car and make sure that, you know, everything works how it should. So far so good. The car is running right now. I left it low on fuel on purpose because I knew I'd have to do this job, and the car is running and no crazy idle fluctuations. It's actually extremely steady, and yeah, actuate the throttle a little bit. Sweet, so now we're gonna put our covers back on, put all of our 10mm nuts back into place on both sides. And then right after that, we can go ahead and just reinstall the rear seats. And one thing to note is for the fuel pump side, these cables underneath are pretty large, same for the connectors. So we're not gonna tighten these all the way and like snug them all the way down, because then you're gonna be crushing all against these connectors. So you really just want them pretty flush, just like that, and then you can leave that how it is. Now that that's all connected and on, we'll do the same thing to the other side, put the rear seats in, and then we're good to go. Well guys, that is how you replace the fuel pump and fuel filter on your BMW. I hope you found this video helpful. It's really not too hard once you're in there. It's just a little tedious. If you found this video helpful, go and smash the thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions at all. And if you're not subscribed, smash that subscribe button. That way you guys can stay in the loop on all the videos to come. As always, thank y'all for the support, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.